Tuesday night, my wife told me about a job opening at her work, and I couldn't explain to her why it made me feel sick. Not sick at her, that's the part I need to say first. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She came home happy about it, actually. There's a position opening up in her department, 50 cents an hour more, and it'd be days instead of the split shift. And she said, "I think I'm gonna put in for it." And I said, "Yeah, you should." And then she said the thing. She said, "And then we'd be set, right? Like that's another $80 a week." $80 a week. And I sat there with my fork in my hand and something in my chest just went flat. Not angry. Flat. Because I've been up at 5 a.m. for 11 months reading about business structures and pricing and how guys actually get out. And I've got a whole thing I'm building in my head that could change our entire life. And she's sitting across from me talking about $80 a week, like it's the finish line. And here's what happened next, and it's why I'm typing this at 1 in the morning instead of sleeping. I opened my mouth to explain it to her, to say, "No, babe, I mean bigger than that. I mean actually out. I mean a life where $80 isn't a conversation." And nothing came out. Not because she's stupid. She's not. She's smarter than me in about 9 ways. I just realized, sitting at that table, that I didn't know where to start. That whatever's in my head has gotten so far from whatever's in hers that I couldn't build a bridge across it in 1 dinner. Maybe not in 10 dinners. So I said, "Yeah, that'd help a lot." And she smiled and got up to do the dishes, and I sat there with my fork feeling like the worst man alive. I need you to understand who she is before you understand anything else, because I know how this is going to sound if I don't. We got together when I was 24 and had nothing, and I mean nothing. I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor of a place I shared with 2 other guys. I drove a Cavalier that wouldn't start below 30 degrees, and I had $400 in the world. She had a job. She had her own apartment. She had her stuff together more than I did. She picked me anyway. Her mother did not like it. I know that for a fact because I overheard it at a family thing about a year in. Her mom saying she could do better, and her saying, "No, Mom, you don't know him. You don't know him." She was defending a guy with $400 and a dead Cavalier. And it's not like it got easy after that. Year 2, I got laid off and was out of work for 4 months, and she covered rent. Not once did she throw it at me. Not one time. Not in an argument. Not sideways. Never. There are guys who would kill for that and don't know it. When my mom got sick in 2021, she took 2 weeks off work, unpaid, to drive back and forth with me. Unpaid. That's real money for us, and she did it without me asking. She's the reason I'm not the guy I would have been. She's the reason I have a savings account at all. She's kind in a way that I'm not naturally, and I've learned some of it off her. I love my wife. I want that written down before I write down anything else, because everything I say from here is going to sound like a man building a case, and I'm not building a case. I'm trying to figure out why I'm sitting alone in a kitchen at 1 a.m., feeling like I'm losing something that hasn't even left. About 11 months ago, something switched on in me. I don't have a good story for it. There wasn't a rock bottom. I just got tired in a way I hadn't been tired before. Not physically. I got tired of the arithmetic, of every conversation for 8 years being about which bill goes this week and which one waits. So I started reading. That's it. That's the whole revolution. I started getting up at 5 and reading for an hour before work. Business books first, most of them garbage, some of them not. Then trade stuff. Then I got into the actual mechanics of how small operations work, margins, pricing, how a guy with a truck and a license turns into a guy with 3 trucks and 8 employees. I ran the numbers on starting my own thing about 40 times. I've got a spreadsheet. I've got a name picked out, which I have never told anyone, including her, and I'm not going to type it here. And I want to be clear that I'm not building castles. I'm 34. I fix HVAC systems. I'm good at it. I've got 11 years in. What I'm talking about isn't a fantasy. It's a truck, a license, a couple of contracts, and about $9,000 I don't have yet. But here's what actually changed, and it's not the plan. It's that I started wanting things again. For 8 years, I wanted the electric bill to be paid. That was it. That was the whole scope of my ambition. And it wasn't depression. It's just what the ground looks like from down there. And now I want a house. I want to take her somewhere on a plane. I want to be the guy my future kid doesn't have to worry about. Something in me woke up, and I'm finding out that when one person in a marriage wakes up, that's not automatically good news. Here's what I notice now, and I hate that I notice it. We had the same conversation about her manager on Sunday that we had in March, almost word for word. He's an idiot, he plays favorites, he scheduled her wrong again. And she's right, he does sound like an idiot. But it's been 9 months, and nothing about it has changed, and nothing is going to change, and we're going to have it again in June. That's the thing I can't unsee now. It's not that she's lazy. She works hard, harder than a lot of people. She never calls in. She's the one they call when somebody doesn't show. It's that everything is happening to her, and she doesn't seem to think there's a door. We watch a show at night, every night, same time, same couch, and I used to love that. And now about 20 minutes in, I get this itch, I should be doing something. And I feel like a jerk for feeling it, because sitting on a couch with your wife is not a moral failure. Saturdays, she wants to do the same thing we've done for 6 years, her sisters, or the mall, or nothing. And I used to want that too. I genuinely did. I'm not pretending I was always this guy. But something changed in me, and it didn't change in her. And now I'm sitting in the same living room, having a completely different life in my head. And she doesn't know. That's the part. She has no idea I'm doing this. To her, we're fine. To her, Tuesday was a nice dinner where I agreed she should go for the promotion. I've tried to bring her with me 3 times. I want to walk through them because I've been going over them all night. First time was maybe 8 months ago. I finished a book that actually got to me, and I tried to tell her about it. Got about 90 seconds in, and I could see it. That polite face. The nodding. She said, "That's cool, babe." Not mean, just nothing. A door that didn't open. And I stopped talking about the books after that. Second time was better and worse. About 5 months ago, I actually showed her the spreadsheet, sat her down, walked her through the whole thing, the truck, the licensing, what year 2 could look like. And she said, "That's a lot of money to risk." And she's right. She's completely right. It is a lot of money to risk. She wasn't being negative, she was being reasonable. And if I'd married someone who said, "Yes, do it," to everything, I'd probably be bankrupt by now. But she didn't ask a single question about it. That's the thing that stuck. Not one. Not how long. Not what if. Not what would we need. She just said it's a lot of money to risk. And then she asked what we were doing for her mom's birthday. Third time was in February. I asked her if she ever thought about doing something different. Not as a criticism. I was careful. I said it soft. And she said, "Different like what?" And I said, "I don't know, anything. Something you'd actually want." And she laughed and said, "I don't know, I'd want to not work." And she was joking, and it was a fine joke, and everybody says that. But I felt something land in me that day that I haven't been able to get rid of since. I haven't tried a fourth time, and I don't know if that's me being respectful or me giving up. The obvious answer, the one people would give me if I said all this out loud, is to just stop. Be happy with what I've got. Plenty of guys would trade places with me. Decent trade. Wife who loves them. Roof. I tried that. That's what nobody would believe. In December, I made a deliberate decision to let it go. I told myself the reading was making me miserable, that I was inventing a problem, that I had a good life and was ruining it in my own head. I stopped getting up at 5, deleted the spreadsheet app off my phone, watched the show, went to her sister's. 6 weeks. I have never been more depressed in my life. Not sad depressed, flat depressed, gray. I'd get through a whole day and not be able to tell you a single thing that happened in it. I was pleasant to be around, and I was dead behind my eyes, and she noticed and asked if I was okay, and I said I was just tired from work. And around week 5, I was sitting in my truck in a parking lot on my lunch, and I thought, this is what the next 30 years is. Not the money. I could do broke. I've done broke my whole life. I mean the stopping. Being a guy who had something switch on in him and then chose to switch it off on purpose and sat in a room being pleasant for 3 decades. I started reading again in January. Haven't stopped since. So that's one of the doors, and I've been through it, and I know what's on the other side of it. I can't be a man who quits on himself, even for her. That's the ugly sentence I've been avoiding writing all night. There's a guy from my old shop, Marcus, who made it. Started his own outfit around 2016, does commercial now, does very well. He's divorced. His wife left about 2 years in, and I remember exactly how everybody at the shop talked about it at the time. He got a taste of money and forgot where he came from. Thinks he's better now. Left a good woman behind. I said some of that too. I remember saying it. I was 27 and I said something like, "That's what happens. Guys change." I ran into him at a supply house maybe 5 weeks ago. First time in years. And we talked for a while. And near the end, he asked how my wife was. And I said, "Good." And he got this look on his face. Just for a second. And he said, "That's the hard part, man. Nobody tells you that's the hard part." And I said, "Yeah." And I didn't ask him what he meant, because I already knew what he meant, and I didn't want to hear it out loud. I drove home that day feeling something I've never felt about that story. For 8 years, Marcus was the cautionary tale, the guy who let money turn him. And now I'm 34, and I'm standing where he stood, and I understand him. And understanding him scares the hell out of me. Because if he's not the villain, then there isn't one. Then it's just something that happens to people, like weather, and being a good guy doesn't protect you from it. I don't want to be Marcus. I also can't stop being the guy who gets up at 5. Those 2 sentences have been sitting in my chest for 5 weeks, and they don't fit together. So here's everything I've got, laid out, at 1 in the morning. I could keep trying to pull her along, which sounds noble until you actually look at it. Because what is that, really? That's a man deciding his wife needs improving. That's me sitting across from a woman who has done nothing but love me and thinking she should be more. Who the hell am I? She didn't sign up to be somebody's project. She married a guy on a mattress on the floor, and she never once asked him to become anything. I could let it go and stay where we are. Already did that experiment. 6 weeks in December. I know exactly what that costs, and it's not being poor. It's being nobody, quietly, forever, while being pleasant about it. Or I keep going and hope she comes along on her own, which is the one I'm actually doing, if I'm honest. And it's the coward's one, because it isn't a decision, it's just movement. A man walking and hoping the person behind him picks up the pace. And if the distance gets too big one day, well, nobody decided anything, did they? It just happened. That's how I'd get to be a good guy at the end of it. Every one of those has a price, and I can't pay any of them. And I want to say something about that, because I know the reflex here is to think one of these is obviously right. They're not. I've turned this over for 4 months. There's no version where somebody doesn't lose something. Every road has her paying, or me paying, and the only question is which one I can live with. And the answer so far is none of them. So I haven't picked. That's where I actually am. I'm 34, and I'm standing in a kitchen with 3 doors, and I haven't opened any of them. And I'm telling myself that's patience, but I think it might just be fear. 2 days after the $80 conversation, I got home from a bad job. Commercial unit, 9 hours, guy yelling at me the whole time. And I came in the door already gone, already in my head. Barely said hi, and she'd made the thing I like, the chicken thing with the rice, which takes actual effort. And she'd worked that day too. And she'd set it up on the coffee table with the show queued up, because she knows that after a bad day, I don't want to sit at a table and talk about it. That's it. That's the whole scene. She made food and put the show on. And I sat down on that couch, and something in my throat got tight, and I had to look at my plate for a second. Because I've been walking around for 4 months, quietly running an audit on this woman, measuring her, wondering if she's going to keep up with me. And she's been over here noticing that I don't want to talk after bad days. She doesn't know. She has no idea. To her, we're fine, and that's not because she's oblivious. It's because I've hidden it, and I've hidden it well, because that's the one thing I'm truly good at. I looked at her that night while she was watching the show, and I thought, this is the best person I know. That's not sentiment. That's the actual truth. She is a better human being than I am, and it's not close. And I still got up at 5 the next morning and read for an hour. That's what I don't know how to explain to anyone. Both those things are true. I love her more than anything, and I still got up. It's almost 2 now. She went to bed around 11, and she came in to say goodnight while I was sitting here, and she put her hand on the back of my neck for a second on the way past. She does that. She's always done that. I'm not going to end this with what I decided, because I haven't decided anything. I've been chewing on this for 4 months, and I'm exactly where I started, just more aware of it. Tomorrow I'm going to get up at 5. I already know that. I'll read for an hour, and I'll go do units all day, and I'll come home and we'll watch the show, and it'll be nice, and it will be, I want to be clear about this, a genuinely good day. That's what makes it so hard to explain. Nothing's wrong. Nothing is actually wrong. She's going to put in for that position and she'll get it, because they'd be idiots not to give it to her, and she'll be happy about the $80, and I'm going to be happy for her, and that will also be completely real. And underneath it, I'll still be building the thing in my head that I haven't told her about, and the distance will be a day wider than it was tonight. I don't know what I'm asking for by writing this. I'm not asking anybody to tell me to leave, and if that's what you're going to say, don't. I'm not leaving her. That's not on the table, and it never was. I just needed to put it somewhere, one time, that I love my wife, and I'm scared of what I'm becoming, and that those two things are happening at the same time in the same man, and I don't know how to hold both. She's asleep in the next room. I can hear the fan going. In 3 hours, I'll get up and do it again, and she'll sleep till 7, and I'll leave the coffee on for her like I always do.